Hi there, traders. This is Brad Gilbert with the FX Market Insight for Wednesday, the 15th of May. All right, now as we come into the Asian session, let's just have a look at the upcoming 24 hours. Now, today's market conditions, well, they're not bad. Okay, like the trading conditions, there's normal liquidity, but what we are seeing is momentum from, early in the week, last weekend's announcements from Trump about adding extra tariffs and China retaliating. It is fading a little bit, but what you'll find is the currencies won't go down in one go. They will have periods where momentum will fade and it will kick into gear sporadically as we go on. So just having a look, normal liquidity conditions. Now, if I just scroll up just a touch, you'll also see that obviously the core market drivers now, we've got Brexit continuing to impact sterling and sterling crosses, and obviously the China-US relations really instrumental in pushing, particularly the Aussie, Kiwi, the yen and the Swiss, those pairs around. Obviously, of course, dollar yuan as well. So looking at the technical aspect of the major pairs now, the safe haven trade is still on, okay, as long as this issue continues, and dollar yen and dollar Swiss still have that bearish outlook, but they are having a bit of a pause at the moment and trading sideways. But the overall bearish theme is in place. Now, sterling, it's sort of sprung to life. We had UK employment numbers yesterday. The unemployment rate was I think it's a little bit worse than expected, but the main thing, average earnings, I should say, was the catalyst. Average earnings were 3.2% versus 3.4%, and the employment change was also down as well. So, funnily enough, sterling, where Brexit has been dominating, we did have the fundamentals impact, and that's pushed it down through sort of hourly and daily support. Now, the two pairs, ongoing issue for this China issue, the Aussie and Kiwi, the standout, okay, goes with the fundamental outlook for the central banks down there as well. So keep an eye on that. Now, what are we going to trade? Well, the pairs, if you combine the top section here with the bottom section, technicals and the fundamentals, you're really looking for the pairs that do line up. And in this situation, okay, it's not pretty. This is like, child's play. Aussie and Kiwi are the two standouts here that actually line up. So what you do is just check out the upcoming events. Now, to me, there's a couple of really good opportunities. Now, we've got the Aussie wage price index. It's a very good, it's about wage inflation. Now, this has been pretty much non-existent in Australia and is a major issue. People are getting paid, but wages haven't gone up for about 5 or 6 years. So that's something that the RBA has expressed interest in. And following that, we do have a big group of data led by the industrial production numbers, retail sales figures also in China. So today, I would suspect the Aussie and Kiwi are going to be pretty lively as we head through that Asian session through these releases. And then once we come into, there's plenty of action here for the European and North American sessions as well. As we come into the European section, if I just scroll up, you'll see that the action continues across the board. Now, we do have some, I would generally say, gentler Euro releases, but can really come into play. The flash GDP for the Eurozone and also the German prelim GDP. Two overall health checks of those of that Eurozone. So make sure you keep an eye on that. The Euro is drifting lower. Okay, so weakness here could lead us into a potential move back down towards 111.5. And then once we get into that North American session, things should really heat up. We've got US, I just cut off the industrial production numbers. We've got US retail sales figures and also Canadian CPI data there as well. And a little bit later, the US industrial production. But these two numbers here should really put the cat amongst the pigeon and potentially give the US dollar some sort of core direction, okay? Retail sales and industrial production. If we see consistent numbers in both of these, we may see a move in the equity markets, which is a bit of a raw nerve in the market at the moment. The biggest release of the day is definitely, without a doubt, the Canadian CPI figures. Now, this is going to be a little bit tricky because, if you're looking at the overall, I'll show you the charts here, the overall picture here on dollar CAD in particular, okay, it's just been trading in a bid range. Oil is sort of drifting all over the place. And that pretty much comes back to having a look over here at sort of the general news and keeping up to speed with what's going on. You've got an issue here where the Saudi oil fields have been attacked. Hasn't really impacted the price of oil at the moment, but we may see oil rally if that continues. So just keep an eye on that. Obviously, the Trump news and China. Well, Trump actually tried to diffuse the whole issue with China somewhat, calling it a little squabble. Right, that was enough to get the US equity markets back in the black, and took a lot of pressure off the dollar itself. Now, just coming back just before I finish looking at the charts. Okay, once again, obviously the Aussie and the Kiwi have clear direction, but if you get your technicals up, you'll see very closely that these two pairs do have the best technical setup as far as direction, and we've got trend lines. As I said, dollar yen taking a bit of a pause, has been moving lower on that US-China issue, but now trading sideways. Just as the momentum fades, I would expect that to continue lower if the trade situation blows up again. So, and then you've got Euro trading sideways. Now here's sterling, where it has been trading sideways for some time in a big range, starting to dip as weak UK fundamentals come into play. And then we've got the sideways moving dollar CAD. We do have levels on dollar CAD, but the data has been all over the place. And with oil whipping about, it's pretty hard to call. So those just keep an eye on the Canadian CPI numbers. As I said, this is the probably the major release for the day outside of the probably the Chinese data. So plenty to play for today across the Asian, European and North American sessions. Make sure you tune up your charts, understand which pairs are the best ones to hit and which way to hit them, and then go to work. All right, guys, that's the FX Market Insight for the 15th. We'll see you in the 247 trade zone. Cheerio.